Hey friends, Pastor David here with this week's Midweek Minute. So this past weekend we talked about one of the more challenging scriptures in Mark's Gospel, the place where Jesus says, if your hand causes you to sin, cut it off, or if your foot causes you to sin, cut it off, or if your eye causes you to sin, pluck it out. Those are hard images. They're metaphors, of course. What Jesus is talking about is that if something that you're doing, your hands, if some place where you're going, your feet, if something that you're filling your mind or your heart with, your eyes, if any of that causes you in some way to walk away from Jesus, to betray commitment that you've made to Him, then that needs to be eliminated from life drastically and definitively, he says. Why? Because eternity is at stake. He says in that passage, it would be far better for you to enter into eternity without hands or without feet or with compromised ability to see, because eternity is that important. It's not to say that this life isn't a bad thing. We're created to live in this world and created to live good because God's called creation good. This is a good life. But there's so much more to life than just this life, Jesus says. And the life beyond this life is going to be so absolutely beyond our imagination that we won't want to miss it. And missing it happens when we have no relationship with Jesus or when that relationship is somehow compromised. So we talked then a little bit about how we keep our eyes on those matters, on eternal things. And there's this Thessalonian prescription we talked about, 1 Thessalonians 5, rejoice always, pray continually, give thanks in all circumstances, for this is God's choice for you. And the challenge this week was to really center our lives on that prescription, to keep on refilling it as often as we have to refill it in the course of a day, to be able to keep our eyes focused on eternal things. Rejoice always. Pray continually. Give thanks in all circumstances, for this is God's will, God's choice for you. This coming weekend, we're going to begin a brand new series. We're going to spend 3 weeks or so with Ephesians chapter 6. The series is called Battlefield. How do we realize that the battles that we fight in our lives, more often than not, are with something beyond just ourselves, beyond just the temporal things, that there are forces at work in our world and in our lives that would try to distract us from the good life that God has called us to live. So we'll begin that work this coming weekend. I hope you can join us either here on one of our online campuses or in person in one of our worship services this weekend. Until then, remember, keep looking up, and I'll see you later.